is Joy, and today we're going to start out with our scales. And the first one we're going to be doing is the C major 2 octave scale, and I'm going to set the metronome at 90. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. The next scale that we're going to be doing is our G major 2 octave scale. One, two, three, 4. And the last scale that we're going to be doing today is the D major 2 octave scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be playing Nightshift, and before we even start playing, let's look at the things that, are a little bit tricky. So at measure 2, you have your C sharp, which is an extended third finger, and you just want to make sure it's nice and high. It's going to be higher than your tape if you have a third finger tape. And we have a crescendo at measure 3, going from piano all the way to forte, and then at measure 4 we have accents and we have pizzicato all happening in one line. Okay, so just be prepared for that. And the pizzicato is piano, so don't forget that. So we're just gonna go for it. Okay, and make sure you start on the string. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So at measure 6 through measure 13, that's where we're going to stop. We have slurs and we have just eighth notes, and we want to make sure that the eighth notes are nice and short and your slur isn't dragging too much. So if you have a tablet, a mirror, a phone, you can put it on selfie mode to check yourself, so that, when you're playing the slur, you're using this much bow. And then for your eighth notes, you're literally using half. So if you're playing this and you're using all of the same amount, it's just gonna sound a little weird. Okay, so just use what you have in the house. So we're gonna go from measure 6, and we're gonna stop at the end of 13. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, another thing that we have in this passage from 6 to 13 is we have the retakes. And you have to be quick with your retakes. So, just make sure you're ready for that, and do circular motions just so that it doesn't crash on the string and just, because it will crunch if you just crash your bow. So just make sure you do a circle so it lands gracefully. Okay, we're gonna go from measure 6 again, and we're gonna stop at the end of 13. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. So now we have 14, measure 14, and we are forte here, you know? So for forte, you want to use the bottom half of your bow for this because, you know, eighth notes are not too, they're not too fast, so you can be at the bottom of your bow and you can get a nice rich sound because we are playing forte here. So, you know, at 14 you can write down like bottom bow, you know, just so that you know you're at the like the bottom part or lower half. So, and also at measure 20 there's a rest, so make sure you count that, okay? You don't want to just like be chilling just because you have a whole measure of rest. And also you're gonna have to you know, just be ready because you have other things coming up. So we're gonna go from 14. So this is measure 14, and we're at forte. Make sure you start on the string, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and at measure 28, it just says crescendo, which, you know, when you're playing music and you see crescendo, sometimes you just kind of miss it because, you know, sometimes you gotta literally see the crescendo. So what I like to do is just draw the crescendo in, you know, it's just the, you know, the, less than sign, basically. Okay, so after you did that, we're just gonna keep going, okay? And this is measure 30. And at measure 30, we have 16th notes, and they're written out for you, but just so that you know, at 37, we have the same thing. They're 16th notes. So when you have a note with a dash like that, with just one dash, it just means that it's half of that. So a quarter note and with one dash would means it would be an eighth note, but since it has two dashes, it means that it's 16th notes. Okay, and then if it had three dashes, it would be called a tremolo, which just means like as fast as you can go. You know, so we're gonna be playing 16 notes here, and for this part, even though it's fortissimo, we don't want to be at the lower half of your bow because it's just not comfortable to play here. You want to be somewhere a little bit lower than the middle, so, but not at the frog. So not here and not in the middle, but somewhere in between, okay? So we can try that. So we're going to go from 30 till 36, okay? Okay, and on the string, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool, so just make sure you're not playing all the way at the frog, because then you also get a very like crunchy sound. because that's just what happens when you play at the frog and you press down really hard. It's just gonna crunch. And then we're gonna keep going from 37. So 37, it's just 16 notes, okay? So we're gonna keep doing that, and at 37 it's piano. So let's go from 37. And you want to play this in the middle of your bow, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So since we have that going on, we're gonna keep going 42 till 50, okay? And this is measure 42. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and also when we're doing pizzicato, you want to hold your bow like this with your thumb on your fingerboard, and you're going to be plucking with this finger. And then, you know, you have 2 beats to go from this to this. So make sure you practice just going like this. And right now it looks so easy when I do this, but it takes a lot of practice to get used to going back to just holding your bow. So make sure you do this. And it's not going to be perfect the first time you do it, so, you know, have patience with yourself. So now we're going to go from measure 50, okay? And at 50, you're going to be forte. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. So we're going to do this passage again, just because there's a lot of information in these last 2 lines. So, you know, the hardest part about measure 50 and 51 and, you know, that whole line is that you're going into 3rd position. So, you know, make sure when you're going to 3rd position, your whole arm just moves, okay? So your fingers aren't just moving first and then your arm goes like this or this way, and then, you know, you just want it to move as one when you're shifting. And also just look at your fingerboard. If you have tapes, you know, just make sure you land on that 3rd finger tape with your 1st finger. And the same thing when you're shifting back, you know, it's just gonna move in one. It's not gonna do like a wave or, you know, and again, use your mirror or whatever you're using to see yourself, that you're not doing anything like that looks awkward. And also on the last line, you have to play piano, and it gets very dramatic really fast. It goes from piano to forte in less than 2 measures, and then you have to play fortissimo with accents, and then you have to do pizzicato. So there's a lot of things going on. You just have to be aware of them, and, you know, circle, highlight, whatever you have to do to remember that you have those things going on. So we're going to go from 50 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was your night shift. So good job.